Welcome to the podcast. I'm Carrie Fitz, owner and broker of Carrie Fitz Real Estate here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Today, I am super excited to welcome a very special guest, Kyle South. He is the president and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce of West Alabama. I know that we've talked about in different meetings that I've attended that we have a retention problem of students. We've already mentioned that we have a lot of students coming from all over the United States. They get their 4-year degree here and then they go home or they go wherever to work. So retention of those students is something that we talk about and we focus on. So how is the Chamber involved in improving the quality of life for residents through things like education, workforce development, infrastructure? And the second part of that is then also what are we doing to attract those students so that they want to stay?
That's right. So I'm going to take the second part of that first.
Okay.
And that is the whole idea behind Anchor, is to open their eyes to parts of the community that they may not have experienced as a student, right? Whether that be the nonprofit community in throughout the region, whether that be kind of water activities and outdoor activities that they may not get to experience if they don't get outside the box on campus. To your point, 60% of our student population is from out of state at this time. How can we keep just our fair share of those in our community beyond that 4 years?
Sure.
And then more broadly, how do we keep that talent in the state and create the return on investment that the legislature's allocating monies to the university? And so all of that is a work in progress. I think we have to be intentional about how we do those things. I think part of that is healthy downtown, activating nightlife and those kinds of things to keep people busy. And I think whether it be the amphitheater or things going on constantly, I think helps in those ways. As far as education, workforce, infrastructure, is one of the things that the Chamber has been a lead on as far as our community goes for quite some time. We talked about TICRIC, we talked about the expansion of water and sewer, broadband throughout the whole county. Those are things that we had to invest in to realize the growth potential that's out there. I think the education thing is one of those that we've got to lean into a little bit heavier. We have pockets of wonderful education in the community. We need that to be applied more broadly. And the needs in certain segments of the community are very different. Whereas one part of the community has capital needs, the other part of the community has programmatic needs. Whether it be city versus county school system, the dynamics are so much different when it comes to that. We have to dig into that and figure out how we can be a conduit to better outcomes. And then that will fix a lot of our problems, whether it be workforce issues, because all of that starts in K-12.
Sure.
One of the things, I think one of the better initiatives that we do is the WOW program. And all we're trying to do there is open the eyes of ninth graders throughout the region to the opportunities they have right here at home. And the one thing that always gets the students and the parents alike is the salary and wages that we attach to each of those jobs. I don't think people understand the ability that they have to support their family right here in our community. And so those are some of the things that we're doing. I think the education thing is one of those things, we're coming off the back of a referendum here locally that the community was split on. And I think we need to use that as the momentum to kind of explore other alternatives and to try to increase. Education's changing nationwide. The state is investing in different ways than they have previously. What is our unique place within those new models?
Yeah. Well, I know that you from Fayette, you go to the University of Alabama, and typically in the past, University of Alabama was Alabama. when I went to college, I'm from Houston originally. When I went to college in Connecticut. So I went out of state, and when I was going to college, everything that we did was kind of on campus. And when we went downtown and stuff, we shopped or we went to restaurants and that kind of thing. I had no clue about what was going on in that town, other than my college life. So I think that reaching these college students through Anchor, and I have heard of Anchor, I don't know that much about it, I will say, but I think that engaging those students in things that are Tuscaloosa specific in terms of what it looks like to live here and the opportunities that are here is crucial, because I don't think they're going to get it unless you reach out there and grab them. Because I don't think these college kids that are coming from wherever they're coming from, they're having the same experience. They're either Greek system or they're going to classes and they're coming downtown and they have no idea what else is going on in Tuscaloosa. So I think it's great that you're being proactive and finding ways to grab these kids and educating them on what we have going on here.
Well, then I think, and beyond that, we have to sustain that relationship, because I think our maybe even more potential is in that boomerang, type go off for 5 or 6 years, but when they're ready to settle down and have a family, Tuscaloosa is a great place to call home.
That's right. I agree with that wholeheartedly, and I hope that you're able to do that, because we really do have some great talent at the university, so much to offer. So what challenges does our community face right now, and how is the chamber addressing them? I know that we've talked about a few of them, but what else have we got?
The one that I would kind of put at the forefront that affects a lot of other things, whether it be education or public safety, Tuscaloosa traditionally is the mental health capital of the state of Alabama. And along with that comes a lot more responsibility and a bigger burden than our peers have around the state. And so, the historic value in that is, all of the mental health hospitals for the state were here in Tuscaloosa. And so everybody still has some of that perception. And so we have to fight to overcome it. There's been many investments made by the state government in order to kind of give us some new avenues to deal with some of that, but we're going to have to come up with our own community-based plan, so to speak. So what we did this past year was we brought about 50 leaders from around the community together to say, what small things can we do to affect this problem that we know, that we realize the fastest? And so getting those people in the room just to start those conversations was a big win, because so much of that work is done in silos across the community and across the state, that getting them together to come up with those things was a key component. I'll give you a quick example. So we have a new state crisis center here in our community that has the potential to do great and wonderful things. But they have some statutory limitations that all of the clients that come in there are there on a voluntary basis. So what does that mean? Law enforcement uses that as a tool. Law enforcement brings somebody that's done a petty crime over there to get treatment, to help them beyond just taking them to jail. Well, the crisis center has no way to keep that person there. And so how can we come up with either statutory changes, those kinds of things? But beyond that, also, like, if there is not a plan beyond a 24 or 48-hour crisis prevention or control to get them into a long-term situation, what have we done? In my opinion, all we've done is realize that we have additional liability and an additional problem, but we're not investing in the long-term solution. So those are the types of conversations that we've got to continue to have to affect it. And it won't happen overnight.
Yeah, I remember that conversation happening in Birmingham with an event, and I think was Ron Abernathy there or somebody. I know Hayes Webb was there. Mm-hmm. Several people, and that was a big discussion in that room. I don't know if you were in that room or not, but that was the discussion then. The inability to have those, and the juvenile
plays right into it.
Yeah,
yep.
It was a big problem, and that those were some things I was not aware of.
Well, and
What they could and couldn't do, and what, the
Right.
limitations that were placed on them, and they knew what they needed to do, but there were limitations.
And if we're doing nothing but opening the eyes of our policymakers to those hurdles, then I think we're doing our job. And it's a very complex situation, but the mental health part of that, not only does it affect healthcare, it affects, it keeps our emergency rooms clogged up for real emergency situations. It keeps our jails clogged up. The majority of folks that are serving time are having some sort of mental health issue. And so how can, again, we be that conduit
Right.
to...
And that's another thing when I think that you need to have all those players, and I'm sure you've done this, in a room, from the juvenile people to the sheriff's department to the Indian Rivers people to whoever needs to be in that room. And I don't think you're going to fix it in a meeting.
Right.
But I think if they meet on a regular basis, and then whatever other voices they need to have in that room, because that did seem, from a little bit of information I got that day, to be a really huge problem, because I don't think it's exclusive to Tuscaloosa at all, because I think that everybody kind of knows, wherever you live, that the majority of the people that are in the jail system have some kind of a mental health issue. And they're put in jail because they don't know what else to do with them, or they don't have the facilities or the abilities to take care of them any other way, and they're not doing anybody any favors by doing that. So how you fix them, of course, we're not going to fix that.
And we feel that burden a little bit more than most, just because the historic parts of mental health being here in Tuscaloosa.
That's right. Well, I know that you've done other things, as I have in my life.
Yep.
And I get asked this question all the time too, and I know that you were a legislator and you were very effective there. What inspired you to get involved with the Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, so my introduction to the Chamber here in Tuscaloosa, West Alabama, was through that policy making, the Public Affairs Council. I was a regular participant in that, got to know kind of what we were trying to accomplish through that. I'd like to think that my time in Montgomery was spent being business-minded and kind of understanding the challenges that we had as business owners. During that time that I was serving, I ran a family business in the telecommunications industry, and we had, family dynamics changed when my grandmother, that you knew well, passed away, and we took that as a time to, get out of the business, had an exit strategy and those kinds of things. And so we sold the business in 2019. So the pandemic hits right on the back end of that. My 6-month transition period with the purchaser turns into 2.5 years, those kinds of things, and all that time that I'm serving in the legislature. And so after that took place, I took some time to reflect, but also understood that the Montgomery thing was in some ways holding me back from professional opportunities and professional growth. Gotcha. The Chamber gave me an excellent opportunity to stay policy focused, but grow professionally as well. And I hoped, I would like to think, still have a positive impact on my community. And so that's kind of what got me here. It's amazing how things come full circle in a lot of ways. But I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to be able to advocate on behalf of the business community in Tuscaloosa, and then affect some of those community development changes that we would all like to see.
I think you've nailed it. So what's your vision for Tuscaloosa and West Alabama in the next decade?
I think continue on this trajectory that we're on. If it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. There are portions of that we've got to hyper focus on. I would say public safety is one of those. We talk about that broadly, but because we are recruiting on a national level here, it doesn't take but one instance to upset the apple cart. And so we've got to be focused on that as a community, because that is our cash cow.
Sure.
And so I like where we're headed. I like the conversations that are ongoing. Our leadership is working in ways that I'm not necessarily sure that it has in the past as far as working together as a team. And we've just got to keep pushing in that same direction.
Yeah, and that's so important. And I tell my new agents here and stuff all the time is you've got to play nicely with the other children.
Yep.
You know, I mean, you're shooting yourself in the foot if you're not getting along.
Yep.
Regardless of whatever shenanigans are going on. If you could tell local business owners and residents one thing to help strengthen our community, what would that be?
You know, be involved. That to me, again, back to the point of the chamber, we're not everything to everybody, but I think within the menu of programming, there is something for everybody. But whether it be through the chamber or other avenues in the community, be involved. Let your voice be heard. You know, we wait on other people to speak up on our behalves, but you've got to engage in the conversation.
Yeah, you've got to know what you're talking about.
No doubt.
Yep. So how can real estate professionals like me partner with the chamber to support its goals?
You know, growth in the community, y'all are at the forefront of that. Let us be a partner. When you have clients or other, you know, opportunities that are before you, let us be that backup that you need. But, you know, again, engaging in all of those components of community development helps you do your job a little bit easier, helps our community grow and be sustainable into the future.
Yeah, I'm a huge supporter of the chamber in different ways. And one of them is that I encourage my agents to participate. Several of them went to the event last night.
Yep.
I'm always, when I get the email about what's going on, I send it to all the agents in the office. We've had several that have been ambassadors. We've had several that have been leadership Tuscaloosa participants.
Mm-hmm.
We've had, I don't know what else they've done, but I feel like the chamber is a place for realtors, for everyone. But, you know, this is my piece. And so I do encourage all of my agents to get involved in the chamber, the young ones to be part of Young Tuscaloosa. And we've sponsored Young Tuscaloosa here for Mardi Gras events.
That is one area that we have to do a better job of, not only as the chamber, but as a community. We have to give those young professionals open their eyes to opportunities within the community as well.
And some of them, I've got several young agents right now. 3 of them, I believe, one of them is not licensed yet, but 2 of them are, that are university students that have gotten real estate licenses. And I know they were there last night, and they're looking, one's too young to be in Young Tuscaloosa. I'm too old to be in Young Tuscaloosa, but whatever. But anyway, one of them is planning to join and get involved in that way. But I love the fact that there are ways from, because both of them are from Birmingham. And so they have, you know, a knowledge of the area, and their parents went to the university and stuff, but they're really getting to know Tuscaloosa now.
Well, and if we want to meet our retention goals, those young professionals are kind of the sweet spot of all of that.
That's right. And then for someone that's new to town, what's one thing they shouldn't miss in Tuscaloosa?
So again, I go back to the water assets that we have throughout the community. Recreational opportunities are endless. And I think we have to do a better job of selling those assets to folks that are visiting our community. You're seeing development now pop up around the lake in ways that we haven't seen it in the past. But you know, that to me is one of those things that you go to Lake Guntersville, you see all the development. You go to Lake Martin, you see the development. I think you can come here and understand some of those, maybe at a little bit slower pace, but understand some of those same activities. And
yeah, it drives me nuts when I hear a millennial say, well, there's nothing to do, because they love to play.
Yes.
And I'm like, then you're not trying.
That's right.
You are not looking around. You know, if you're going to whine about that, because there is plenty to do.
When you ask the question of them, well, what would you like to see here? They can't come up with anything generally.
And sometimes they'll say something that we have, and we have that.
Yeah.
You know, well, I didn't know that.
Again,
really?
opening those eyes.
That's right. So how can listeners get involved with or support the Chamber's efforts?
Yeah, so contact us at the Chamber of Commerce websites, www.westalabamachamber.com. We want to invite you out to be a part of any of the programmatic things that we are involved in. And you can do that as a prospective member. We want you to get your foot in the door. We want you to become involved, and there's so many ways of doing that. We want to be your partner in growing our community and growing the business efforts of the region.
Yeah, when I mentioned that I send an email out that I get sent from the Chamber because I'm a member to my agents, I get them quite a bit, and there are always a half dozen events coming up in the next couple of weeks. There's plenty to get involved with, as few or as many as you'd like. So please reach out to the Chamber for whatever information. If it's easier to reach out to me, I'll email it to you, what's going on. Some of them, there's a small charge. Some of them there's not. If there is a charge, it's less for members than it is for people who are not members, but none of it is exorbitant. And there's so much to do, so many different ways, and it's interesting. And you always learn something. When you've left, you've always come back or come out of it learning something that you didn't know before. So it really is something that is worthwhile, I think.
Well, we're constantly evaluating that value that we're trying to bring to our members as well. And so I thank you for that. I thank you for being an ambassador of the Chamber of Commerce in so many different ways, and look forward to partnering further than we do now. You do so much already, but we look forward to those opportunities and understanding our members and the value that we can bring additionally. So thank you again. Thank you for this opportunity today. I think it's super important for us to tell our stories.
I do too.
And this is an awesome way to do it.
We never know who our spheres are. I mean, I know who my sphere is, but it might be different than yours. And so I think that we need to cross those lines a little bit. Well, thank you so much for Kyle for being here and joining us today and sharing your insights about the growth and the future of our community. I really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Yes, ma'am.
And I thank you so much. Again, I'm Carrie Fitz with Carrie Fitz Real Estate in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Fairhope, Alabama, and Pensacola, Florida. It's clear that the Chamber plays such a vital role in making West Alabama a thriving place to work and live and invest. So thanks to everyone for tuning in, and until next time, carry on.